a lot of that comes up for HSPs in general, because anger was never something that they learned how to actually feel in a way, again, that felt grounded and safe and
It's
powerful.
difficult.
Difficult to feel it, to hold it, to express it in not an explosive or a dissociated kind of way. You weren't born believing that anger was bad.
Exactly.
Like on some level, in some way, explicitly or implicitly, it was taught to you that this wasn't
Yeah.
an okay way to be.
Welcome to Sensitive Stories. This episode is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for treatment with a mental health or medical professional. Let's dive
Well,
in.
Maya, welcome back to the podcast. So excited
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you.
me. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I know you were on before episode 31. Something I still think about, you said on ramps to softness.
Mhm.
And someone just said that to me last week. They're like, remember when Maya said that? I was like, yes, it's so
Oh,
good. I still think about it.
I love that.
Just like, oh yeah, you can just ease into it.
Yeah, so
Um,
important.
so that was something that really stuck out. But today we're going to be going in a different direction. We're going to talk about anger,
Yeah,
much needed conversation right now
for
in our
sure.
world. And I think especially for HSPs to create some space that, we don't always have to be so nice all the time. So I'm wondering if you're open to starting us off with talking about your personal relationship with anger and if it's changed over the years at all.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that because it's actually changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the same is probably true for a lot of people. But for many of us who were, born into female presenting bodies, I was very much socialized to not be angry, to be nice, to be good, all of those sort of synonyms for not angry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that followed me for a long time. I also, grew up in a family where cursing was not generally okay. Ironically, it was more okay to curse in Arabic than it was to curse in English. I still haven't like totally made sense of that because it's still a curse, but you know, um, some of the Arabic curses I still don't quite know what they mean. They're like that bad. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, so it took me a long time. I think I was at least in my mid 20s before I would say fuck out loud or, something, or say damn it or whatever it is.
Right.
So it was a big process for me of being able to feel that anger was okay, that I was entitled to it, that it didn't make me
Mm.
bad or too much or wrong.
Yes.
So that was a huge shift. It's a shift that I'm still, living into in my early 40s, but a significant shift. And then a
Mhm.
few years ago, I actually started an advocacy organization in New York for licensed creative arts therapists, primarily because I was angry.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anger is useful.
yeah, anger can be so useful. And I won't get into the whole, background of that. It's called the LCAT Advocacy Coalition. We are still going. Um, but essentially, I was angry. And instead of letting that lead to, a quick spike and then a collapse,
Mm.
I let the anger, and it just was the right moment in time in my life. I don't quite know exactly what crystallized it. Had a couple of colleagues who were like, yeah, kind of let's do the
Yeah.
thing. My husband was very supportive. And just was able, I keep making this motion, I was able to help, I was able to let the anger move me into action. And that
Mm-hmm.
just felt so fucking satisfying.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that there aren't moments when where the energy goes back down the other way, because of course that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I really learned in particular over the past few years that my anger is really important, that my anger matters. And it's been an interesting exploration as an HSP, as a formerly very shy kid, which I no longer consider myself shy, but I absolutely consider myself an HSP, and I will be that
Mm-hmm.
forevermore. It's been really interesting to find my voice in
Yeah.
this new embodied way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how beautiful that you just let it take up space, right? And
Mhm.
And you're channeling it for advocacy work, which is incredible. Not that you have to do that, but anger is here for a reason. It has a lot of energy behind it. So when we shove it down, oh, it's so hard on us
Yeah.
just to
It's like
erase it.
when we shove it down, my opinion is that when we shove it down, and this happens with a lot of my clients who are HSPs,
Yeah.
the energy doesn't, sometimes it might feel like it disappears, but it actually just gets like compressed.
Yep.
And the feeling of compressed energy is really crappy, in my opinion. Like it just, oh, it's so heavy and stuck. And, that's the knot in your chest and the pit in your stomach and you know, just the being
Yeah.
kind of whatever the word is for this, kind of pushed downward. So
Yeah.
the energy,
Compressed.
compressed, thank you. The
Yeah.
energy doesn't actually go anywhere usually. It just gets kind of redirected and made smaller, and it deserves
Hmm.
to take up space.
Yeah, it really does. And you're right, it doesn't actually go away. It just shows up in other forms.
Yeah.
And it could be physical symptoms. I have clients where it's like a pressure cooker and it
Mhm.
takes over after years and years and years of repression. So it wants to come out somewhere,
Yeah.
right? And maybe we can be more in control of that.
And that's the tricky thing. I have been thinking about talking about anger as it relates to working with HSPs for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And there's usually one of two things happen. Of course, there's also usually a third, but um, for
Always.
HS, right, there always, but for HSPs, either they never get angry, and I don't believe that that means they don't actually feel anger, but they never let themselves express it in a way that feels, you know, complete and satisfying and safe. And there's any number of reasons why that might be happening. Um, or they are angry all the time, which
Mm,
then sort of feeds into I'm too angry, I'm too much, I'm not being good, all of that narrative, which just
yeah.
comes up, a lot of that comes up for HSPs in general, because anger was never something that they learned how to actually feel in a way, again, that felt
Yeah.
grounded and safe and powerful. And
Hmm.
there's so many reasons, and this is reminding me of a blog post I wrote some years back about anger, and why it might be hard to feel it.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons why anger is hard. I think not only for HSPs, but that's the bulk of the work that I do, but just for
Hmm.
people in general, why it's difficult to feel it, to hold it, to express it in not an explosive or a dissociated kind of way.
Right, where you're not just erasing it or pretending it doesn't exist or just letting it take over or taking over. So, what does that? Well, I'll back up
Yeah.
because you said it's hard for HSPs to feel anger, and it gets a bad reputation. Like, oh, we're supposed to be the nice,
Mhm.
soft, good, good, nice ones. And why aren't we allowed to be more angry as HSPs?
I mean, I think a lot of this really overlaps with just societal views about anger in general.
Yep, for sure.
Like, I think we need to, I'd love really naming that so explicitly the last couple of
Yes.
years because it's just so fucking true. Like,
Yep.
and especially, like I said, especially for those of us born in female presenting bodies, like this sense of like it's not okay to be angry.
Yes.
Or, all the rhetoric around women being too angry or too loud or too shrill or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really starts with where, and that sort of language happens in families too, you know?
Absolutely.
So for people who feel like, oh, it's not okay to be angry, I, when I'm working with them in therapy, I always start with, well, where did you hear that? Like,
Yeah.
where did that actually come from? Because
Mhm.
I've said to people, I'm not accepting that as like sort of a blanket
Right.
statement. Um, like, yeah, anger may be hard for you, anger may be
Mhm.
tricky.
Mm.
That's legit. But to sort of, paint with a broad brush and say anger is bad,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not so absolute, right?
it really never is, I think.
Yeah. And looking at, yeah, where did you learn that message?
Yeah.
And let's push back on it.
Yeah, and so that's my thing. That's my thing. One of my things the past couple of years is like that gentle pushback of like, okay. And sometimes I've had people say, no, well, that's coming from inside. I'm like, well, any message that comes from inside started from outside and
Mm.
got integrated. like with
Mm-hmm.
anything else, right? Like with any other beliefs. Like
Yeah.
you weren't born believing that anger was bad.
Exactly.
Like on some level, in some way, explicitly or implicitly, it was taught to you that this wasn't
Yeah.
an okay way to be. So, and it sometimes it might be as relatively simple as experiencing others' anger and not being protected from that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole lot to unpack there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, but for a lot of us, the societal messaging is just the gendered messaging is just so
Yeah.
huge and it's so pervasive. So
It's so
really
strong.
beginning to unpack that
Yeah.
and to unpack what it means to be angry. Like, does
Mm-hmm.
anger, like I've cursed a couple of times and I enjoy being able to curse. There's like
Yeah.
research about how actually cursing is like better for you than holding it in. I'm blanking on the
Oh,
name of the book, but it was a few years back.
that makes sense. Yeah, because then
Yeah,
you can be more kind of in tune with what you're feeling
it's so
or
much more
expressive.
expressive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So, I
exactly.
mean, there are so many, like I was saying before, there are so many reasons why anger is so difficult for HSPs. And I think figuring that out, it isn't so simple as like, here are the five bullet points, because,
Right.
we're all complex beings in so many ways. But I often start with, well, where do you think you learned that? What's your earliest memory of being told that? Or sometimes it's not about being told don't be angry, but being told be good or be nice
Mm-hmm.
or be compliant. Which is a word that's been coming up a lot lately in the news, right? Like, um, and what's missing from those words is anger, but the implication is still there,
Right.
right? It's so implicit, and it's so implicit for women. So I think being able to be even just a little bit curious, and like I was saying before, if clients are struggling with how to be curious about that, then I have no problem being explicitly curious
Mm-hmm.
for them, with them, of, where did you first hear that? Or this is what I'm hearing, and I wonder if that makes sense. And yeah, and then also unpacking the belief that
Mm-hmm.
anger is inherently bad, right? That
Right.
cursing is bad or that it always looks one way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of, especially if you grew up in a family that did anger one specific way, then you got used to, because we adapt, you got used to
Mm-hmm.
anger looking one specific way. And so this idea that anger can look so many different ways, right? You can
Mm.
be angry without cursing. Just because I've been cursing doesn't mean that's the one way to do anger, right? You can
Right.
feel anger in your body. You can express anger in your words. It can be in your art. It can be in your
Mm.
music, right? Like there are so many different sort of containers for anger.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be explosive, right? It can be
Mm.
this sort of what's this word? Like kind of undercurrent, right?
Yeah.
Like as opposed to now I'm thinking of like a river, right? The sort of the energy of a river, maybe after a spring thaw. If you live where there's a spring thaw, like
Mm-hmm.
it's flowing, there's movement, but it's
Yes.
not, uh, you know, an ocean wave that takes you under, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's more consistent and steady. Right. So anger can look so many different ways and it'll shift, right? We were saying this before, like day to day, moment to moment, season to season. It doesn't have to be static.
Mm-hmm. It's a helpful reminder that anger, especially when you're allowing it to move through regularly, it can be a lot lighter. It can be more fluid. It could even maybe be creative. Or as you're channeling anger into advocacy work, so it could be resourcing. There's just so many ways it shows up, and we usually think of it as violence,
Yeah.
verbally aggressive, and it can be some of that too. But there's so many more opportunities for anger to come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to hear that like anger looks many different ways. So however you express it, beautiful.
And I think, the important, just to piggyback on that, I think one of the really important things about expressing it is figuring out how to express it in a way that feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have a lot of clients, and I felt this myself for a long time. I have a lot of clients who feel, well, if I go near that, I'm gonna get lost in it. I'm gonna go down the
Yeah.
rabbit hole of it. I'm gonna drown in it. It's a lot of, imagery there. And so part of the work that we do is figuring out the titration of it, right? Like
Yes.
what amount of anger is tolerable. You don't
Yeah.
have to love it. It doesn't have to be your favorite, at least not right from the jump, but like
Hmm.
what amount is tolerable? And the way that I work as a creative arts therapist is that I'm in it with them, right? I'm
Mm.
not just, sitting there and saying, "Tell me about your anger," but like,
Yeah.
"Hey, if you draw it, I'll play it." Or can we
Mm.
play it together? Or these are three mu like recorded music options that are somewhere in the vicinity of anger. Do any of these feel,
Yeah.
connected for you? So I'm really in it with them, and I
I
can
love that.
only do that because I've done so much of my own work around anger,
Well, you're
right?
really joining with,
Yeah.
which is so healing when you've been told your anger is bad. You need to hide it away. It's like, no, let me see it. Let me be in it
Yeah.
with you.
It's
I,
so
oh,
validating. I have so many
so good.
clients who were told as kids, even as adults, like if you're going to be angry, go in your room, close
Yeah.
the door, or their parents would ignore them or shame them for being angry about like regular kid things. Like we're not
Right.
even talking like, explosive anger.
Right.
Like for just having feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so different for them. And they'll often name this. It's so different for them that I'm like, hey, you're angry. Yeah, you're fucking angry. Of course you're angry.
Right.
What music did you listen to as a kid when you were alone with your anger? Which is
Yes.
so powerful. And then can we
Oh.
listen to that together? And sometimes just
Mm-hmm.
that is so healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was a resource that they used.
Yeah.
But then to have that be a shared experience as opposed to a solitary one really can shift things. And it's a really powerful place to start from.
Yeah, I could see doing that even with a friend or a spouse or a loved one. Like, hey, I'm feeling pretty angry right now. Will you listen to this song with me?
Yeah.
Like, let's
And
join together.
yeah, I mean, it's a way that I move myself through. Like, literally this morning, I was really angry.
Hmm.
It was a combination of things. It was what's going on in Minnesota and something that was happening in the advocacy work and
Hmm.
something else that I can't even remember right now. And I was really angry. And so a few years ago, my inclination might have been to just to
Like
regulate,
temper.
to soften,
Yeah.
to temper. And I had the time. This wasn't a client day for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm angry right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I need to feel that. And so I put on, oh man, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just looped that. I did a
Yep.
little bit of imaging on the page with some oil pastels, right? And so I'll choose art materials intentionally, and those like let me like really feel the
Yeah.
paper, and then after that was enough, like I put the image aside. I'm like, I kind of want to keep listening to this.
Hmm.
And I looped it. I was answering emails. I was, using my standing desk. So I was moving, which is really important for
Yes.
me. And after maybe like 20, 25 minutes, I was like, I think I'm done with the song.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
and that was a really clear knowing, right? So I gave myself the permission. Like I know that song, right? It wasn't brand
Hmm.
new to me. I think a lot
Yep.
of us know that song, and it is pretty containing. So thinking about like the structure of it, right?
Hmm.
That bass, those drums, like it's pretty containing. It's not, I wouldn't consider it especially chaotic.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
it's at least pretty predictable.
Yeah, that's true.
That will also change day to day. If I listen to it tomorrow, I might be like, oh my God, so much.
Right.
I
But
mean,
it
probably not, but
matched
it's
your mood
possible. It
today.
matched. It was close enough and it matched. I don't break my head and I encourage my clients not to break their heads trying to find the perfect piece of music. I don't think that exists.
Yep.
It's not about perfection, it's just about good enough, right? Which I think is
Yeah.
something that all therapists say in one way or another. And so when I was done with that piece, I moved on to something else.
Hmm.
I was clear in my intuition that I still needed something with energy to it.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. You're not
Like I
going to
wasn't
drop down too far.
Right. Yeah. But sometimes we have that inclination of like, oh, okay, I got to move from there to there. And it's like, you're not a light switch. I say this to
Right.
my clients a lot. Like, you are not a light switch, a regular light switch that toggles on and off. And because often they feel the pressure of like, I have to be angry or calm or happy or,
Yeah.
like just these binaries.
Yeah. Bring in some gray, some
Yeah.
transition
So
space.
we were talking before you and I about like dimmer switches, and I
Yep.
actually use that imagery all the time with clients of like, what would 10% less look like? And when I'm
Yes.
working with people in person, my office has a dimmer switch, thank goodness, as an HSP.
Perfect.
And so I'll like point to it. Or I've literally drawn it for people when working virtually, or I've been like, do you
Mm.
have a dimmer switch? I mean, everyone pretty
Right.
much knows what a dimmer switch is. And just that idea of like, the shades of gray, the nuance, okay, my anger was at a 10, and after listening to that song, I was at like a 7.5.
Yeah.
And that was more tolerable. I wasn't like, vibrating anymore.
Right.
And so I shifted the music I was listening to.
Mm.
And I actually kept shifting for a few hours after that. And so before we got on, I'd shifted my way all the way down to like a Paul Simon track.
Okay. Yeah.
If I had put on a Paul Simon track this morning, it wouldn't have even
No.
registered,
Mm-mm.
right? So it is, and in music therapy language and in other languages called the ISO principle, that you meet yourself where
Mm.
you are and then you move gradually towards where you want to be.
That makes
And
sense.
some music therapists who work, let's say in the hospital with someone who's really having a lot of anxiety or a lot of pain, if you come in from the jump with like the most beautiful, calm music, it's not going to register. It's not going to meet them where they are. And
No.
we all deserve that, right? Whatever the situation is, we deserve to be met and held where we are. And
Exactly.
then to be gradually moved to somewhere else with that
Mm-hmm.
support and with that gentleness, but also a firm container, right? And music can do that so
Exactly.
beautifully.
Well, it's like how you will talk about how when you're anxious, sitting in meditation does not work. It's
It's the
too
same principle. Yeah.
right. It's
Mhm.
too far away from where you are. And you're
Exactly.
trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't
Right,
just it
exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
work. You're making it worse. Same if you're trying to listen to Paul Simon when you really need to listen to White Stripes or something even more intense, just matching your energy.
Mhm.
So it sounds like, this morning you were able to you talked about completing the anger.
Mhm.
So is that kind of what that means of I'm letting the anger express, I'm kind of moving through, I'm giving it space to exist
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a completion for the moment. It
for the
doesn't
moment.
obviously, yeah, like it doesn't obviously mean that
Yeah,
I'm done with anger forever. Like
right.
I don't even know what that means. But
Right.
like that current iteration had been
Yeah.
felt and integrated
Yeah.
and moved through.
Mm-hmm.
And me of 10 years ago might have very well put on Paul Simon. No shade to Paul Simon. I love his
Yeah.
music. Um, might have very well put on Paul Simon and said, "Okay, Maya, breathe.
Yeah.
Don't need to be angry. It's not a big deal." Like all of those
Yeah.
messages that I'm sure we've all said to ourselves or heard
Mm-hmm.
from other people, like just
For
calm
sure.
down, like all of
Right.
that. And it's like, no, I was angry.
Yeah. And hearing calm down is so infuriating.
I know, I know. I tossed it in because like I'm sure everyone listening has probably, I think we've all heard that at one point or
Yep.
another. And it's like it's not helpful.
No.
It is, it's just it's just really not helpful. I had another word, but that's really the gist of it.
No. It's
Not helpful.
invalidating.
Invalidating. Thank you. That's the word. It's invalidating. It's unhelpful. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually hear or meet the moment.
No.
Right. And I think this moment that we're living in, I want to like be explicit about this moment,
Yeah.
it is January 14th.
Yep.
We're in the US. This moment that we're living in is a
Yep.
moment of collective trauma. And it's
Yes.
been, we could also say we've been living in moments of collective trauma for a long time now.
Very long.
And what we don't need in moments of collective trauma is only the calming down. Like,
Oh, yeah. That's the opposite of what we need. It's
right, we
like
need
pulling the
to,
wool over and saying this isn't happening,
right.
right? People aren't
Yeah,
suffering.
right.
People aren't scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we need to be able to feel that anger again, ideally in a way that feels safe and grounded, right? Like it would not have felt grounding for me if I had run out the front door and like gone for a sprint. I'm also not a runner, but
Right.
that's not personal. Some people, that is the ticket for them, right? Going
Right.
for a run is just the thing they need.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing like what works for you or having a menu sort of to choose
Mm.
from is really helpful, I find.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that safety piece back because that is such an important part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we could share for listeners what maybe might be some unsafe things to express anger. It sounds like if it's not aligned for you, maybe it's something that you wouldn't normally gravitate towards, or if it's not matching the moment of your emotional state, like if you're trying to force yourself into a calm space. Yeah, if we could just. share with what that might look like?
Say that again. Things that aren't,
Yeah, could
that
we
wouldn't be
give,
helpful.
yeah, what would be an
Hmm.
unsafe way to be in anger?
So, like so many things, like this will vary person to person. So all
Of
of this
course.
comes with like a
Of
giant
course.
caveat, right?
Yep.
Um, I think that, but generally speaking, I will urge clients not to try to express anger in a way that is inflicting physical harm on their own
Mm,
bodies.
yep.
And there's a difference between pinching your arm
Mm-hmm.
and punching a pillow, right? The pillow is external, your arm is internal. But,
Yes.
we don't need to split hairs. Like, sure, it's on the outside, but you get what I'm saying.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So because sometimes I've had that happen with clients who are adults where like they never learned, they were never taught, it was never modeled for them that like,
Yeah.
hey, put on the headphones or hey, go for a walk or squeeze a pillow. So they do end up doing a bit
Yeah.
of self-harm.
Mm-hmm.
Not even to the point of like cutting or anything like that, but just, hitting themselves on the head or something like
Yeah.
that, because it's the
Mm-hmm.
only release that they know.
Mm-hmm.
So I do try to encourage clients of like, let's just expand the possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Um, yeah, right. Without shaming, right? Like, of
Mm-hmm.
course, that like if that was all that was available, yeah, it makes sense that that's what you
Yeah.
gravitate towards. Or like even something like, I'm a jaw clencher myself, but like, some people will, that's what they'll intentionally go to. And it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that hurts. Like I
Yeah.
personally know like how much that fucking hurts,
Yes.
you know? So generally speaking, I think building out like, I'm biased as a music therapist. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have people build out playlists and we
I
do
love it.
it, yeah, like having an anger playlist. Um, and building it out ideally when you're feeling fine. Like I knew this morning that song, Seven Nation Army, that would probably work for me.
Yeah.
I've listened to it before, I've moved to it before, I've imaged to it before.
Mm-hmm.
So having even just like two songs that I think for me it's lately it's that one and a Nirvana song, you know.
Oh, always good. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So like having a couple of go-to songs. Um, Physical movement, I find.
Yeah.
Like, because like we were saying before, like oftentimes the inclination to just like tamp it down is really strong. And we might
Yes.
not always like, I was lucky today. I want to name that I was lucky and privileged today to like be home, be in my space and be able to move.
Yeah.
Um, you know, if I'm in my office and I'm between clients, I might have 2 minutes. And
Right.
so that's when I do something like energetic sweeping or literally jumping up and down sometimes or pushing into the wall really
Mm-hmm.
hard, like really activating all of my arm muscles. Like really simple somatic stuff like that
Yeah.
actually can really make a difference.
Oh, it really does. Just to engage your body in that emotion is, even if you only have a minute or two,
Mhm.
it's
And
better than pushing it.
totally. And it's the pendulating in and out, right? So it's not about like,
Yeah.
pushing on the wall for 10 minutes without any reprieve. Like you're just going to end up with a sore arm and a sore shoulder
Right.
probably. But like the pushing, I think this is either from SE or SP, I never remember, but like pushing in and then you release.
Yes.
Push in and then you release, right? So like to
Mm-hmm.
feel the pendulating in and out. That's
Yes.
safety, right? To know I can feel this, I can move away from it.
Yeah.
Feel it, I can move away from it,
Right.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so to have that sense of agency with your anger, that
Yeah.
also changes the internal narrative around like this is just something I have to, brace and get through, or something that happens around me or to me, right? To be able
Mm-hmm.
to go in, to go out.
Yes. Such a good reminder that you won't be trapped in the anger. So a lot of people I work with, they're so scared of their anger.
Yeah.
They've been told it was wrong, that they're just an angry person, that it's something they need to get rid of, that people don't like them when they're angry. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good reminder, like, oh, this is a temporary state. It'll come and go forever for your whole life.
Hmm.
There's, I mean, we have endless things to be angry about right now and
Yeah, for
always.
sure. Hmm.
So it's not going away, but we can move in and out of it and we're not
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
stuckness that we fear. And that's such
Yeah.
a human inclination, right? To fear being stuck. No one wants to be stuck. It's
No.
it's a really shitty feeling. But to have that those experiences, and I think that's why, therapy can be so reparative, those experiences
Mm.
of, okay, just a little bit, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll have clients like, can you draw the anger? Right. So then it's already getting externalized because when it's
Yes.
internal and you don't either have language for it or a safe experience of it, it's overwhelming, right?
Yes, it is.
So it's even sometimes just like, can you draw it?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. What's it like to see it? Right? Like the
Yeah.
shape that it has, the colors that you chose. And then where do you choose? You can put it somewhere else, which, like, intellectually, we know this piece of paper is mobile and it can
Yeah.
go places. But it's so powerful to feel like, oh, I can put my anger on the other side of the office. I've had people like
Yeah.
hide anger all over my office when I'm
I
in
love it.
person. Um, or the anger gets, to sit next to one of the stuffies, and the stuffy's keeping
Hmm.
the anger company so they can take a pause from, right?
Yeah.
Like again, just so
Yes.
many different experiences. So when you've had like pretty limited or repetitive experiences of anger, to sort of widen the capacity of like, oh, I can draw it, I can crumple it up. I've even had people like hand me their image, like, can you hold it? I'm like, yeah, I can hold it. It's fine. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put it right here on my lap or right next to me. Um, there's infinite possibilities. There really
Oh,
are.
I love that. It's like joining with and take taking some of that weight off. Like,
Hmm.
okay, you're not in this alone, and you may have been when you were younger, smaller,
Yeah.
but not now.
Yeah.
So this is starting to bring it out, and I love putting it on the page.
Yeah.
So good. Like, oh, this is what it looks like, and also I'm getting it out of myself.
Yeah. Right. I mean, catharsis, look, the desire for catharsis is legit, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think when we let anger be just catharsis, it can
Yeah.
also be overwhelming. Right.
Mm.
And that's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
flip side. So I have a lot of clients who don't feel able to express anger for, like I said, any number of reasons.
Yeah.
And then those that come in, a lot of HSP clients, in recent times who will say, I'm too angry, or I'm angry all the time and I'm overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
Right. So to be able to sort of figure out again that gray space of like, can I feel just a little bit of it? Or can I feel my anger but without it being purely an exercise in catharsis.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes some exploration, right? Because we
Yeah.
want to just like get it
Oh
out.
yeah. But there's
But
more waiting behind it.
right, there's always more waiting behind it. But if our focus is just on getting it out,
Yeah.
right, which is why, I didn't listen to the White Stripes for 6 hours straight. If our focus is just on letting it out,
Yeah.
we lose let me think about this for a sec, how to put this.
Mm-hmm.
It then becomes, it's sort of like, for lack of a better phrase, like, you vomit it all up and you feel better when you have the stomach.
Right.
It's probably not the end of the stomach bug, right? This may not be the
Right.
best metaphor. But I think it's really important to feel, okay, I don't have to go all the way to the end to feel relief or to feel in
Yes.
control or to feel better, right? Because
Right.
catharsis is looking for that relief and you
Right.
deserve that relief. But catharsis so many times will take you out of your window of tolerance, right?
Mm.
You say
Mm-hmm.
all the things, you vent, you dump. You haven't actually learned how to experience anger in a way that feels productive, that feels safe, that feels mobilizing.
Right.
And the reality is we all need a good vent sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm also
Sure.
human. But if that's the only way that you experience anger, there's limitations on it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like you're turning the light down too quickly
Hmm.
and kind of throwing yourself into it. Yeah, because you have to titrate. You have to take a little bit of the time at a time, or you get that explosion.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like a chemical reaction,
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right?
right?
Hmm.
So we have to then, I love that you said that relief. You don't have to get to the end to have relief. Like
Right.
you today, you said, oh, I went from maybe a 10 to a 7. I forget
Mhm.
exactly how you said that,
Yeah,
but you're
yeah,
like, oh,
that's
I'm
pretty
just
much it.
slowly downshifting a little bit at a time. And that's relieving too.
Yeah,
And it gives us a chance to learn about our anger.
yeah.
So, what is possible when we're moving slowly? Are we building relationship to anger? Are we learning how to work with it? All of it?
I think all of that. I
Yeah.
think, the building, I see like the building a different relationship to anger. That's really the fundamental piece,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That anger can be an ally instead of an enemy, right? Like
Love that.
yeah, that's just so important. I think a lot of times, again, for any number of reasons, people have learned that anger is the enemy. And so what if, and and sometimes that's really valid, right? If they've had experiences of being literally unsafe. I'm not here to take that away from anyone, but what if anger could be an ally? Like what I shared with when the advocacy work that I do got started, the anger was like this driving force that was pushing me forward,
Yeah.
right? And there have been moments where I've been overwhelmed, not gonna lie, but it feels better to be doing something than to not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the action feels good,
Yeah.
right? Movement. Anger wants to be moving.
It
Does
also like anger is telling us something really important, right? Like
yes.
it is giving us so much information. It is, if you think in parts or you think in, it is a part, it is a voice, whatever the language you use is
Mm-hmm.
that wants to be heard, that deserves to be heard, right?
Yes.
And oftentimes, most of the time, it is saying, this is not okay,
Yes.
right? Some version of that saying, this is not okay. I do not feel okay about this,
Yes.
you know?
It is an ally. It's helping you stay safe
Yeah,
ultimately.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's important to listen to it.
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And make space for it. Yeah, that brings up a listener question, which is let's say you're noticing something's not okay, you're getting angry, um, but then people are trying to push you around
Mm.
and maybe try to control your experience. How can we stand up for ourselves? Obviously, we're expressing it, hopefully expressing it with ourselves, but is there a way to channel that anger towards others in relationship? Or we
Yeah,
can start to communicate the anger.
yeah, this happens so often, right? Especially I find this with clients when they start to feel more connected to their anger. People in their lives are like, wait a minute,
Right.
this is new and I don't like this, right? Or some version of
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, there's so many thoughts that I have. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can sort of
And this is a
distill
big
them.
question.
Yeah, it's a big question.
How
And
do
it
we?
does, I think the answer is different if depending on the context, right? Like, is someone pushing back on you in a text message when you
Right.
have a moment to yourself to kind of collect yourself versus face to face, versus,
True.
right? Like, so I think the moments when it's happening not in real time, whether
Mm-hmm.
let's say a text, um, and I think that's a moment to actually to step away and to come back into your body, whatever that looks
Mm.
like for you, right? So whether it's a song, whether it's movement, whether it's, going to hug your dog, that's a big one for me. Um,
Shout out
like,
to Willis.
yes. That is like giving yourself that break
Yeah.
because what can often happen, and especially in the world we live in where like the notifications are going off all the time and there is this pressure. Like I live my life with my phone mostly on D&D because I'm like I'm not available even if I might be
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
So like giving yourself that break of like I don't need to, they're pushing back on my anger, I don't need
Yeah.
to respond right now.
Yes.
I can, put my phone down and go into the other room for 5 minutes and nothing, that's fine. Like
That's
that's
it.
not a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
So refinding that anger, because usually what I find happens in those moments is either you collapse internally
Mm-hmm.
or it's like, you turn the flames up to like 10 and you
Mm-hmm.
probably don't want to respond from either of those places,
Yes.
ideally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like figuring out like, okay, how do I either need to like refind my body? Like I even just did it now, like where's my spine, right? Because when we
Yes.
collapse, we kind of do this.
That's true. Yeah.
It might be more subtle than that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always like end up curling up into a ball, but it's some version of that. So like
Mm-hmm.
where are my shoulders? Where's my spine?
Yeah.
Am I aware of the back of my body or am I just collapsing forward? Which is a really instinctual thing to do, right? To like literally protect our most vulnerable
Right.
parts. Um, so that's if like it's happening not in real time and you can
Mm-hmm.
take some time.
Yeah.
I think if it's happening in real time, where like, let's say you're having a conversation with someone, and this is trickier, of course, you're having a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with someone and you're expressing anger and they're pushing back on it.
Yeah.
It's a different version of where is my body, right? So,
Yes.
are you aware of your feet? Like that's a big one
Mm.
for me. Um, Not like be calm. I think sometimes when we're like be in your body, there's the okay, I'm gonna be calm. It's really hard to be calm while you're experiencing someone either be angry at you or push back. So where are
Mm-hmm.
your feet? Right? And then any number of options, including, hey, can we take a break?
Mm-hmm.
Or I need 5 minutes, or I'm a big proponent of the little white lies. And I absolutely say this to clients,
Yeah.
like say you need to use the restroom when you don't need
Yeah.
to use the restroom, or I think I hear my phone ringing, or the dog is
Yep.
barking, or I mean, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
can't pretend that the dog is barking when they're not, but you get the idea, right? Like, just if you need to remove yourself.
Yes. Find
Like,
whatever way you can to do that
yeah,
for safety.
yeah, 100%. And so and that there's a permission in that of like, you do not have to brace and
Mm-hmm.
make it through, right?
That's
Those
right.
of us who have had overwhelming experiences of anger probably are used to just like we brace until
Yeah.
it's done.
Yep. Get through it.
And that's a really, that's a learned behavior. And it may have kept you really safe in many scenarios, right? I'm not here to say like that's not the way to do it, but this is about exploring what are some other options,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're having like a big blowout fight with your mom in the kitchen, mom, I need a breath of fresh air, right?
Yep.
Like I'm gonna walk around the block. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Break that
Right?
cycle.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of anger, especially with people who we know, it runs in cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you say something, they say something, and then
Right. Back and forth.
yeah. So if possible, giving yourself that break. If that
Mm-hmm.
isn't possible, or if it happens so fast that afterwards you're like, wait, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I think being able to reflect,
Mm-hmm.
right? As opposed to like, oh, fuck, I did it again, or this is never going to change. Like when you're able, like it is
Yeah.
helpful, I find, to reflect afterwards, even if it didn't go the way you want it to, which
Yeah.
happens all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being able to ideally reflect with as much kindness towards yourself as possible,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because working on your anger is not going to be helped by being angry at yourself.
Right. Just gonna feed it.
Yeah, and a lot
Yeah.
of it, a lot of us HSPs can be really self-critical. I have that capacity as well. And so it could be really easy to spin into the, oh, I fucked up. Oh,
Yep.
I did this wrong. Why don't I ever learn? And even as I'm saying these things, and I'm not even angry right now, I could feel the like, ugh, it's so
Yes.
heavy.
It's so heavy. You just beat yourself down
Yeah.
instead of just making space for the anger and like, I'm a human with emotions and it's hard to figure things out in the moment, especially as an
Yeah.
HSP. When we need
Yeah.
time to process, you don't always get to do that real time.
And there's something to be said also for like in the reflection after of like, what would you have wanted it to feel like?
Yeah.
This isn't an ideal world and we're not shooting for perfection, but could you imagine that scenario, whatever the details were, feeling a little different, right?
Yeah.
It's the imagining something different, I think, that is so important because we can get really stuck in the loop of like, this is what always happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll do that with clients sometimes when they come in, they're like, and this and this, and I'm like, okay, could you imagine this having gone a different way?
Yeah.
Even if we don't have to figure out the how right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can get really stuck in that. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
HSPs also have that capacity. How am I going to do the thing that I want to have happen? But if we can hang out with what do you imagine it would look like, feel like, sound like if it was different? That's important sort of repatterning for your nervous system as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's an opportunity to find a song or to draw it, or
Yeah.
what did you want this to feel like? Because that's
Yes.
also really validating of like, oh, yeah, this isn't what happened, but my desire for this different experience matters. And I can have that a little snippet of that experience now.
Yes. Already changing the narrative,
Yeah.
getting to try it on and then getting to talk to yourself differently.
Yeah.
surrounding the emotion.
It's also a way to, if you're doing it in hindsight, it's a way to experience it and kind of store that internally for the next time, right?
Exactly.
Because when we're in the heat of the moment, whatever the moment is,
Hmm.
if we haven't experienced the thing, right? If we haven't learned, whether it's anxiety or anger or whatever, if we haven't learned how to do the thing that we're wanting to do,
Yeah.
if we haven't learned it out of the moment, you're probably not going to learn it in the moment, which is why
Right.
people saying just calm down is so inherently unhelpful,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Um, so being able to play around with it outside of the heat of the moment, right? It's just sort of
Yes.
have a little bit of practice. It's
Hmm.
like anger practice, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just like you're making your playlists
Hmm.
out of the moment. Yeah, try on some different things in your mind. So you'll have that in the background next
Yeah.
time or, you know, a
I'm a
few times
huge
from now.
proponent of like trying it on before you need it, just in
Yeah.
general, whether it's anger or something else. But like, if you haven't tried it beforehand, you're not going to have access to it in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the
Mm-mm.
moment, if I'm really pissed, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything, like
No.
it's just not happening. But I know where my phone is and I know, usually, and I know, how to find music on it. And
Yep.
like, so it's a way to really care for future you of like,
Hmm.
I'm going to practice this now so that I have it when I need it. It's like taking your
Yeah.
vitamins.
Yeah, exactly. I obviously we're talking about kind of a post angering situation, but if you want to work with your anger, could you reverse engineer where maybe you put the anger playlist on and you're letting your body move, whether it's through art or somatic practices, and then maybe you tap into some anger just to start to build relationship? Is that possible?
I think so. I
No.
think because ultimately this is about, like you were saying before, this is about building a different relationship to anger.
Right. Right.
So a lot of times doing that needs to happen when you're not actually angry.
Right. Yeah.
And that runs so contrary to what a lot of people believe, and honestly, what a lot of people
Hmm.
believe about processing this stuff in therapy. Well, I'm not angry right now. I'm fine.
Right.
Cool.
How many times
You're
have we heard
fine.
that?
Right. And like I'm like amazing. You're fine. What in the grand scheme of I don't think I actually talk like this, but like what needs some attention that isn't
Yeah.
front and center for you right now? Right? So I often will
Mhm.
do work with people around anger, around anxiety when they're feeling fine. Because when you're feeling fine, you're a little more resourced,
Exactly. That's the
you
time
know?
to do the work.
That actually is, right? And oftentimes, look, every time do you have to do the work and you feel fine? No,
No.
sometimes just fucking enjoy feeling fine
Yeah,
and,
right.
love it. Um, but sometimes that's really an opportunity that we often will
Mhm.
miss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm appreciating this invitation to be in relationship with anger. Let it be malleable, let it be variable, different. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
always be the same.
No.
And we can give ourselves grace. We
Yeah.
don't always have to get it perfect. No,
No, we're
never do
not
we
we're
want to
not
get
going
it
to get it
perfect.
perfect. We're
No,
just not
never.
going to get it perfect.
Never.
There is no perfect expression of anger, right? Like,
No.
and I often think about, especially in this time, anger that has created change throughout
Yes.
history. Anger that has created change. It has not been perfect.
Mm-mm.
It has been messy and chaotic and yet still mobilizing.
That's right. It's still useful and valuable and life-changing for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Maya, I really appreciate this conversation and just opening up permission for HSPs to get angry, to create space for it, to have conversations about it. I'm wondering if there's any last thoughts you have for listeners before we wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, this has been so good. I
I
think
know.
I've probably said this, but I think it always bears repeating that being angry doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you wrong, doesn't make you too much. Your anger is just really valuable information, and it deserves to be heard and felt in a way that feels okay.
Mm, thank you.
Thank
That's
you,
a
April.
really important reminder. And if folks want to get in touch with you, I'll share your website, your social media, your Instagram. And then is it okay to also share your LCAT coalition?
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful. if anyone
Yeah.
is interested and wants to look that up. Yeah,
And then
thanks.
I would also love to share the blog post about anger. I
Yes,
wrote it
thank you.
a few years ago, but it feels still very
Yeah,
relevant.
I definitely want to include that for folks to just have that in their back pocket.
Yeah,
I'll look for it, and if I can't find it, I'll reach out to you.
sounds good. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Maya.